Hello and welcome again to another not-so-weekly edition of the RC Model Reviews Weekly News. And if you're very observant, you may have noticed that I'm not in my workshop today. In fact, I'm at home, sheltering from the horrible cold winds of winter in the Southern Hemisphere climate. And I'm in my small office. And when I say small, I mean small. If I stand in the middle of this room, I can touch all four walls without even leaning over. In fact, I had to fit the wide-angle lens I bought many years ago for my camera just so that you could see the whole of what you see, because otherwise all you get is a little bit of my face, because the camera, I can almost touch the camera, I'm that close to it. And so I've pulled out all the stops to bring you this video because it's about 1,000 degrees below outside and the air is turning to liquid oxygen. It's just so cold you wouldn't believe it. There's thunderstorms, there's hail, there's rain, there's a whole lot. So I figured better be inside and do these videos than sit outside and freeze to death, which I surely would. And just to let you know the extremes I've gone to bring you these winter videos from the Southern Hemisphere, look what I went out and bought. See, that is a 200 watt incandescent light bulb. It's working now, and you can hear the planet warming as a result of the power this thing uses. You can hear the dolphins screaming for mercy and the glaciers melting every time, every second that this thing is running. It's basically killing the planet, but I'm doing that so that I can make this video, because otherwise the wussy little 20 watt compact fluorescent I usually use, you just can't see what you're doing in here. You need a seeing eye dog and a white stick just to find your way around in this tiny little office. That's so dim and useless. Anyway, that's what I've done to bring you this episode of RC Model Reviews, not so weekly news, so we'd better get on with it before the planet bursts into flames as a result. Now, here's my list of things, as I always have, because I'm old and I forget. First of all, the low-cost FPV videos and articles are coming along very well, and the most important part of that whole series, I think that the cleverest bit, is the replacement for those $300, $400 video glasses that you might otherwise have to buy. And the little line of work I was working on that, the little thought I had about that seems to be panning out really, really well. So it looks like instead of paying that big money, you'll be able to get away with probably 20 plus 20 plus maybe, yeah, probably about 60 bucks worth of bits. You can build your own video visor, and that's not quite the same as a video goggles. In fact, it's a whole lot better in a number of respects. So stay tuned for that project. But suffice to say, I received some little LCD displays this week. These are not the ones I'm actually going to use, but this is like 20 bucks from China. I mean, you know, it's nothing. And I've got some other ones coming which I will be using, which are slightly different to this because they're better than this one. And they cost less, $17 is what I paid for them. Also, part of this video visor project are some of these. Here, let me get the styly ones for you. These are beautiful. Look at this. Look at the colors on that. That's lovely, isn't it? And they are, of course, good old granny reading glasses. If I put these on, look how big my eyes go. Woo, woo. See that? And this is the secret to this video visor. Now, on their own, these screens are too small. You can't really see very much, but if you were to pull apart one of those video goggles, one of the video glasses you buy for your $300, $400, $500, you'll find they consist of a couple of little screens smaller than this and some lenses like this that magnify it. So it looks really, really big. So what have I done? I've used the same concept. I'm using little LCD screens and glasses that magnify, putting it into a visor, and voila, you have a real budget video visor that will even do 3D if you want it to. How's that? Pretty good. There are many benefits to the visor, which I'll cover when I do the video series in the article, but suffice to say, keep your eyes out for that. If you're not a subscriber, why not subscribe so you don't miss that one? It's well worth having a look at. Now, other aspects of the FPV series, I've got hold of BevRC. Finally, Ali Shanmao, I gave them a ring, then they contacted me and we're all talking, so the bits and pieces that will be required for some of these FPV projects, some of them will be sourced from BevRC, and I'll make sure there are things that you can buy that will be available for quite some time. So you're not going to see the video, read the web page and go, oh, I want one of those, and then find that half the bits aren't available, because that's really important. The other thing with the low-cost FPV, the AXN floater, which will be the airframe for the low-cost FPV, it's built, it's flown, like all AXN floaters, it flies really well. So now all I've got to do is put the low-cost camera video system on it, build the visor, and we'll have the first in the series all done and dusted. You'll be able to see how well it works, probably build one for yourself and have a whole lot of fun flying bareback FPV this summer, before the summer's finished. Now, what else have we got? As you can see, I've got all my gear behind me on the bench here, and I've got the RCModelReviews.com telemetry system also sitting here. I'm doing some documentation on that, because one of the problems with building something that's complex is if you don't document it really well, then it's hard for other people to do the same thing. And in fact, the documentation's taken longer than actually building the telemetry system, believe it or not. And it's still not finished, but I'm working on it. And because of this bad weather, I'll be working on it really hard for the next few days, so that when you decide to build your own telemetry system, it's easy peasy, simple step-by-step stuff. Now, what else? Got that, done that. Oh yes, as you know, RC Model Reviews has this YouTube channel, and it has a website. Believe it or not, RCModelReviews.com. Go there, you'll see it. But I've decided also to move out into the world of social networking. Now, I'm not going on Facebook because that's so last century. I'm going on Google+. So if you want to be regularly informed by my ranting and raving, you can put me in one of your circles if you're already on Google+. If you're not on Google+, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But sooner or later, everyone will go on Google+. And so put me in a circle. My name is Bruce Simpson. My aliases are XJet, RC Model Reviews. You can't really mistake me. So if you want to, add me to a circle and you'll hear what I've got to say, even if it's not worth listening to, because most of the time it's probably not. Now, it's HobbyKing time. No, not sponsored by HobbyKing in any way, shape or form, but what would an episode of this bulletin be without a mention of HobbyKing, who are one of the leading suppliers in the market, whether you like it or not. Now, ESCs. We all have ESCs if we fly electric, and HobbyKing have some really cool prices, and they have some good products and some not so good products. Now, a new lineup from HobbyKing is going to be the Birdy ESCs, and they're called Birdy ESCs because they're cheap. Do you get it? Birdy, cheap? Yeah, never mind. But the big thing about the Birdy ESCs is that each and every one will be tested. They tell us for 2 minutes before it's shipped. So they'll wire it up, plug it in, make sure the magic smoke doesn't come out, and make sure it works. And why is that important? Well, according to Anthony Hand of HobbyKing, some of their products, like the Simple Series, SS Series ESCs, weren't quite as reliable as they'd hoped they'd be. So there's been a few returns on those, and some people have said, well, I bought one, took it out of the box, and it never worked. Well, the smoke came out. I flew for 5 minutes and the smoke came out. And HobbyKing admit, grudgingly perhaps, that there is a little bit of an issue with the Super Simple Series. So what they've decided to do is get a replacement, maybe a parallel product, which will be the Birdy series, and they will test each one so that when you unwrap your box and take the product out, you can be sure that unless you wire it up backwards or do something really stupid, it's actually going to work. Because when you buy something worth $8 or $10 or $20 from HobbyKing and it doesn't work, it's not worth sending it back. The postage is worth more than the product. So it's really nice to pay a couple of bucks extra to know that at least it'll work when you open the box. What else have I got? Oh, HobbyKing. Speaking of HobbyKing, here's a bit of a shock to the old system. HobbyKing tell us they're going to be selling turbines. Yes, that's right. Gas turbine engines for RC model jets. Woohoo, who'd have thought? Now, of course, I know you're all thinking, who would buy a turbine from HobbyKing? I don't know. I've always said, never spend more at HobbyKing or a lot of the Chinese suppliers than you're prepared to lose, because the cost of getting things replaced under warranty or returning a faulty product is enormous, and the complexities and delays are also very, very high. So it'll be interesting to see if HobbyKing can pull off this turbine thing, whether they can do it. Now, if they have a good product and they back it up with support, I don't know how they're going to do that, then obviously they could make a big dent in the market, as they've done with so many other products on the market. But when you look at the price of a turbine, they're supposed to be, HobbyKing say they'll be 60% cheaper than the rest. Now, you can't really buy a turbine for much less than $2.5 grand. So 60% less, 60% of that is still a fair whack of cash. We're going to have to be fairly confident that the product is good and the backup is there if we spend that sort of money at HobbyKing. We'll see what happens. HobbyKing have mooted that maybe they'll get me to do a video showing you how to set up your turbine, how to run it up, how to use it safely, how to build a model, how to install it in a model and so forth, because these things are quite difficult, or not difficult, but they're different. It's quite different to your electric, your nitro, your gas plane. There's a lot more can go wrong with a turbine installation, and if it does go wrong, the results can be devastating. So you really need to know what you're doing. It's not the sort of thing you can just take it out of the box, plug it into an airframe and fly the damn thing, because even the way jets fly, it's quite different to the way your regular models fly. So I may be doing some videos with HobbyKing just to show you how that works. Now, it's not a sponsorship. You won't have the HobbyKing logo all over RC Model Reviews. I won't be getting backhanders or anything like that. Simply, it's my attempt to make sure that people don't go and kill themselves or burn property down or cause all sorts of mayhem, which will be bad for the hobby if they use turbines without knowing what on earth they're doing. So we might be working with HobbyKing just a little bit on this one little project just for that. See what happens. And if I can, I'll review the turbine so we'll have a pretty good idea of whether it's like a Jet Joe and really only good as a paperweight, or whether it's actually a good turbine that can be used with some confidence. What else have I got? Oh yeah, my test equipment here, as you can see, whizzing around the background, I said before. Now, a lot of people have emailed me and said, tell us some more about that really cool test equipment. What does it do? How do you use it? And should I have some? Well, I intend to do that. As soon as time allows, I'll do some videos. I'll show you how this gear works, not so much how it works, but what it does, because most of the stuff it does is pretty simple. I'm testing the latency for the Aurora 9, for example. What I will do is not only will do a video showing the latency, comparing it to things like the Turnigy 9X and the JR radios and so forth, but I'll also show you how I measured the latency using my dual trace digital storage oscilloscope. I'm testing some servos, I'm testing the speed, the linearity, the accuracy, the precision. I will show you how I use the scope to test that as well. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, you may find the little extra videos I do showing how I achieved the results I achieved with my reviews. You may find those interesting. Otherwise, you can just ignore them, because it's the wonderful thing about the internet. You just look at the stuff you want to look at. So that's about it for another not so weekly news. And if you've got a comment, a criticism, a bouquet, a question, you can put it on the bottom of this video. There's a section down there that says comments. You can pop your comments in there, and I usually check them quite regularly. I'll answer any questions if I can. But a better way to get your questions answered is to go to the RCModelReviews.com website and join up at the forums. There are now nearly 1,500 people who have joined the forums, and there you'll find various places you can ask questions, you can share your experiences, you can get advice, or you can give advice if you know what you're talking about. And there's no heavy-handed moderation, there's no trolls. It's a really nice place to hang out, because people there are just interested in RC models and not politics and all that sort of rubbish. So go along there and see what you think of it and join up. And if you want to subscribe, because you don't want to miss the videos that are coming up. And when you subscribe, of course, through YouTube, you get a little notification that says, oh, there's a new video from RC Model Reviews. So thank you for watching. If you want to, go to the website. On the top left-hand corner, you'll see a little button that says donate. I think you know what that's for. If you feel inclined, you're welcome to do so, and I can buy more of this stuff, and we'll build more cool things like the FPV visor, the video visor, which I think will be one of the most popular projects I've ever made. Thank you for watching. See you again very soon on RC Model Reviews.